I have a question for you today. Which president hated broccoli and did not even want it in the White House? I'm going to be telling you about that today. By the way, today is hashtag Tea Tuesday. This is hosted by our friend Patty at Life with Patty. You can go over and see what she has posted and what everyone else in this awesome collaboration posts. You never know what you're going to see on this one. And by the way, I'm having my coffee with collagen and protein in it and my wonderful flavored cream. I pulled out a different cup. I know you recognize this. I got it at a thrift store. Today, we are going to be talking about our 41st president. Can you guess which one it is? Was that a good enough hint whenever I ask you about the broccoli? Here's the outside. There he is. George W. Bush. George H.W. Bush was elected president after 8 years as Reagan's vice president. That he was experienced in Congress. He was an ambassador to the United Nations and was top diplomat to China. And he was the director of the CIA. He promised to continue the work that Reagan had done and promised the American people while he was president, the United States would be a kinder, gentler nation. He also worked to improve education for American children. After winning a very short war in the country of Iraq, Bush was popular in the United States, but the economy was not doing very well. Bush had promised no new taxes, but he had to break his promise, and he was not reelected. Okay, here is the little picture about, did you know Bush hated broccoli and he wouldn't allow it to be served in the White House? He was the 41st president. He was born June 12th in 1924 in Massachusetts. He served from 1989 to 1993. His vice president was Dan Quayle, and he died in 2018. And right here, little picture right here, Bush signed a law making Martin Luther King's birthday an official federal holiday. Okay, now that little book I got at Dollar Tree. This one, my friend Laura gave me. And we're going to be talking about his wife, Barbara Pierce Bush, in just a moment. George Bush proclaiming himself the environmental president and the education president. He took reins of office and he was truly riding high. Not since Martin Van Buren in 1836 had a sitting vice president been elected to the presidency by a popular vote. And not since 1929 had a candidate from the same party as the outgoing president in succeeding him. Bush celebrated the occasion with an immoderate inauguration in the U.S. history. The expenses topped the 30 million mark. Now, that's a normal word I don't use, immoderate. So I looked it up, and it's just over the top, so expensive, extravagant, and every other word you can think of. Bush was the son of a Republican senator from Yankee, Connecticut. Bush was elected president of the class of 1942 at Phillips Academy, Andover. Enlisting in the Navy, he became the youngest bomber pilot in World War II. At Yale, he became the first baseman and captain of the varsity baseball team, companies in West Texas, and made a tidy fortune. He ran unsuccessful for the U.S. Senate in 1964, and 2 years later was elected to the House, eventually served on the Ways and Means Committee. And in 1970, he ran for Senate and lost. President Nixon appointed him ambassador to the United Nations in 1971 and chairman to the Republican National Committee 2 years later. Bush stood by the president throughout the Watergate ordeal, but in 1974, he was left with no alternative but to deliver the letter requesting Nixon's resignation. The director of the badly buffeted CIA, a position he held until the election of Jimmy Carter. Bush withdrew as a candidate for the 1980 presidential nomination when he realized that he was simply not going to beat Reagan. When Gerald Ford turned down the number 2 spot on the ticket, Bush stepped up to bat. To the dismay of his supporters, he began shifting to the right in an effort to bring his views more in line with Reagan's ultra-conservative positions. The team won handily in 1984. He was able to brush off smudges of the Iran-Contra arms for hostage scandal to capture the presidency in 1988. Skip down here. This is pretty wordy on this one. And it said, you know, a lot of the different things going on. He he had said, read my lips, no more taxes. And that didn't happen. LA riots and all going on. So all of a sudden, things wasn't quite so rosy. I'm going to now move on to this book, Miss Carol at Crinkle Pass. She sent this book to me. And by the way, we're going to meet her this week. Having a YouTube, Northern California YouTube get-together from 6 of us YouTube girls. And I'm looking forward to seeing every one of them. We're going to meet up close by where I live. And some of them's coming from 2 or 3 hours away. And so excited. I'm sure all of us will have some videos telling about that meetup. We're going to have a lunch next week. You see the picture right here? This is Barbara Pierce Bush. She was born June 8th in 1925 at Rye, New York. Her parents was Pauline Robertson Pierce, and her dad was Marvin Pierce. Her husband was George Herbert Walker Bush. They had 6 children, 4 boys and 2 girls. Education was Ashley Hall Preparatory School, Charleston, South Carolina, and she was 63 when they went to the White House at the inauguration. Barbara grew up comfortably in Rye, New York. She attended the Smith College for 2 years, but left when she married George Bush in 1945. That's the year I was born. Because George Bush's many jobs in business and government, Barbara and her husband and the children moved and lived in 17 different cities in the years of their marriage. The seemingly perfect family has had their share of sorrows also, including in 1953, the death of their daughter, Robin, who had leukemia. The White House became Barbara's home in 1989. She was determined to lead a normal life there, to keep doing what she always had done, run her house, take care of her husband, and spend time with her children and her grandchildren. Barbara Bush is a down-to-earth woman. Her wardrobe is unpretentious. She doesn't wear very much makeup, and she refuses to color her gray hair. Accustomed to speaking her mind, Barbara has said that as First Lady, She was trying to curb her tongue. I think a lot of us could do that once in a while. She prefers to leave politics to her husband, disagrees with him, do so only in private. She is not interested in becoming involved in government policy making, is devoted to a special cause, national literacy. Convinced that the nation's social, economic, and political problems are all linked to high rates of illiteracy, Barbara works with many organizations to promote literacy in America. She wants to increase public awareness of the program and to encourage people to volunteer to fight against illiteracy. Barbara has volunteered her services to various social causes over the years and feels that the First Lady has an opportunity to make a difference. Her natural charm and her common sense, she will. Of course, remember this book was written a few years ago. And you know, we're getting close to the end of our whole series on the presidents. And if you've liked this and you just jumped in here, great. If you would like to go back, I have the whole playlist of all the presidents, beginning at number 1 on down on up to this very present time. Also, I wanted to tell you this past week, go back and check some of my videos if you haven't gotten a chance. I did a live yesterday. If you like gospel music, you might enjoy that. It's there for you to listen to. I have it alive, but you know, it's gospel music, and I'm praying for you and talking to you and singing a lot. Making a few piano mistakes too. Tomorrow it's going to be budget meals under $5, and I have a wonderful Hungarian goulash. Now, I made it with vegetarian style, but you can make it with meat, however you want. But boy, was it good. I've had it already 2 or 3 times. And my daughter-in-law had some. She liked it also. And it's very simple, and I think you'd enjoy it. So come back every time. I pray God just blesses you today. Don't forget, Jesus loves you. No matter where you are, whatever you're doing, He loves you. And I'll look forward to seeing you tomorrow. If you haven't taken the time, and if you don't mind, please press like. If you can, say hi to me. Put a heart in there. Something, I know you've been there. If you have something to say, a comment on my video, I love that too. I love it. And I always comment back. I'm going to go eat. God bless you so much.